Big greasy.
Yeah.
Wow, right on. Chip Ritter in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
Everybody, welcome to Drummers Education Connection. We're here today with Christopher Williams, drummer for legendary heavy metal band Accept. Today he is sitting in the Death Star after it's been destroyed.
Well, my studio's destroyed currently, so that's why we're in the Death Star.
Well, as long as you're okay, man, that's the thing.
I'm good.
You're as long as you're not hurt in all that destruction.
I'm good. My mental state, not so much, but you know, we're drummers, so what else is new?
Exactly. What else is new?
So long as Chewbacca's okay, we're good.
Exactly. What?
Right on, man. This is going to be a great episode. So anyway, welcome to Drummers Education Connection, guys. Thank you so much. We tune in for tuning in like you do every week here on Facebook and YouTube. What we're going to do is do it like we always do. We're going to jump around the room and go to good things so we can talk about something that's good going on in our life, drumming or non-drumming. Jeremy, I'm going to throw it to you. What's happening, bud?
My good thing is that my son Evan's GoFundMe for his jazz album project reached its goal, so that's pretty rad. And
nice.
We're going to record it together in September. Got the dates nailed down at the plant, the recording studio in Sausalito, famous studio where Sly and the Family Stone and all kinds of people recorded. So super excited about it and super proud of him.
That's fantastic, man. Way to go. Chip, what do you got going on, bud?
Man, I got 2 new students. I got my clinic ready for deck day. I'm
nice.
Ready. I've got my plan. I'm not practiced up on it, but I've got my clinic idea. I've got it flushed out, and I got the handouts ready for deck day on April 25th at Aquarian Drumheads headquarters in Orange, California, man. It's going to be cool. People can sign up at the website listed below.
Chip, are you going to share with us what your clinic's going to be about, or are you going to wait and surprise us?
I'm going to wait and reveal it on deck day.
Love it.
Very cool. Hopefully we don't have the exact same clinic.
Hopefully we don't. Well, I might reveal it to Bart. I might let Bart know.
Cool. Christopher, what do you got going on good that's happening that's good?
All kinds. Drum related wise, we just upgraded studio equipment, hence why I'm here inside the Death Star. Cool. I custom fabricate drum racks and cages as kind of like a side thing, and just finished the first one up for a massive client. So you'll be hearing about that soon. But most importantly, in a few weeks, I'm going to become a daddy.
Hey, congratulations.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, man.
That's very exciting.
Little boy due here April 2nd. So
nice. Wow. What kind of sticks does he use?
Fingers for now.
You're going to start him off on 7As or what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll get him on little jazz sticks, even thinner timbali sticks, maybe.
There you go.
Right on.
There you go.
About the right size.
That's exciting.
Well, congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I've got my good thing is that we head out on Tuesday. Our first night is Wednesday at Don Laughlin's Riverside Resort and Casino. We got a 5-night residency out there, so I'm really stoked about that. I love that gig because it's a nice big room. We sell it out every night, and you only have to set up and tear down one time for 5 days, and I love that.
Yeah,
absolutely love that. And then another good thing, another plug here for Deck Day. We got coming up. If you've been to Deck Day before, you know we get a whole bunch of really cool goodies that we give away as a raffle prize. So that's another good reason to get your ticket for Deck Day. And I got a package the other day from Audix Microphones. So here I have the new Audix D6X. Okay, now I have 2 of these. These are a great mic. If you've ever used an Audix D6, you know that the bottom end on these microphones is just legendary. It's real low end, boom, boom, and the kick drum. But what the D6X is, it's a dynamic microphone, but much like it's like a condenser in that it has a roll off on it. So you can actually kind of roll in some mids right? So it's not so bottom endy. I have one of these in my in the kick drum that's right there in my studio, and I have one of these in my floor tom on my touring rig, and it's just, man, it's a killer mic. So if you buy your ticket to Deck Day, that's going to be one of the grand prizes, along with a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So get your ticket, and you might win that microphone. So there you go, and you can get those at drummersedcon.com. Now, as we mentioned, we're here with Christopher Williams from legendary band Accept. And, you know, a lot of times in interviews like this, Christopher, it's really easy to kind of go with the, you know, how did you get started, all that stuff. And that'll work its way into the conversation, I'm sure. I want to kind of jump into Accept, right?
Okay. Guys, I got to go real quick. I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
Cool. Sure. No worries. You got in the band, correct me if I'm wrong, in April of 2015. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's when the official announcement came out. Yeah.
Cool. Now, you got into the band during the Blind Rage tour. You got in mid-tour, right?
Yeah.
So I've always been curious about that. What happened and how did that happen? Because that's kind of a thing to come in the middle of a tour and just all of a sudden take over. How did that happen? Can you fill us in on that?
All kinds of stuff. So I had known Peter Baltus, the original bass player. I'd known him through the Nashville scene. I'm based in Nashville, Tennessee. And oddly enough, my now bandmate, Philip Schaus, who's the other guitar player in the band, he and our friend Jeremy started this weekly gig called the Rock and Roll Residency, with 2 E's. And it just kind of started as a hang for 4 gigs, and then it turned into a real residency. And it became the spot to go on Tuesday night. So the original house bass player was Chuck Garrick from Alice Cooper's band, and he came in when he went out with Alice doing the Alice Motley Crue tour. They played the arena, and Alice and the whole band came out and played a set at the gig. So like this became the spot to go to. So Peter Baltus started hanging out there. We were paired up, connected through that, and Wolf came out once or twice, and it was kind of, you know, if you ever need a drummer, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And then they found themselves needing a drummer. Stefan Schwartzman, the drummer prior to me, and I think he still probably has the record as the longest standing drummer. Great dude. I've met him over the years. He's awesome. Good friends. But that was weird for me coming in, you know, because you don't know what to expect. New band, new fan set, and you're stepping in for this guy that's killer. But he and the other guitarist, Herman, had a band that they wanted to pursue, from what I understand. And it was kind of an amicable split. It was just weird timing. They had 4 or 5 months off, because I think they wrapped up in December at some point. So what, I guess, 4 or 5 months. And then the split happened, and then I got the phone call like, hey, guess what? We actually need a drummer. And went in and played together just to see how it felt, if it would work. And here we are 11 years later.
Wow. Man, I love that story, because, you know, you just were putting yourself out there. You know, I mean, you never know what's going to come out of these kinds of things. And it's really easy to dismiss, you know, these kinds of hangs or jam sessions or events as like, oh, you know, no money, you know, no nothing. I go home, I'm the same person as before I came, but you never know where things lead and connections that you can make, and it's cool.
And I'm bad about self-promotion, like my social media stuff. I should be doing more, but when I'm home, I like to be home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But that being said, in a situation like that, you're just hanging with your friends. You know, you're not out being that guy going, hey, hire me,
right.
hire me, you know?
Yeah.
You're just saying, hey, it's good to meet you. We jammed, and, you know, we sat in and played a few times, different tunes, and it felt good. And, just, hey, if you ever need somebody, I'm here. You got my number. Just very casual and cool. And it just happened to work out that way. So
You always hear about that, when somebody gets a gig that's like that, that sometimes it is real casual. It's not on a big cattle call. It's because somebody knew somebody that knew somebody, and they knew you were a good hang,
yeah.
Right.
And it was, I mean, it's taken for granted that you can play, but you can hang out with the guys and live on a tour bus and not kill each other and stuff,
Mhm.
I've never gotten the cattle call audition thing. It's so weird. And I feel bad because friends will reach out and say, hey man, if you hear of anything, let me know. And it's like, well, absolutely. Anytime, rarely that I do, of course, I put names out there that I feel would be a good fit, but I'm not the person that gets those calls for whatever reason. I don't know if everybody thinks I'm gone all the time or what, but it's like, yeah, man, I'd love to put you as the guitar player in this band or whatever, but nobody called me about guitar players. I don't know.
No, so when you got in the band, that catalog's pretty legendary. I mean, how many of the songs did you just know, and then how many did you have to dive in and shed on?
I knew a handful of the classics, not like the back of my hand. I wasn't like a big Accept fan, but I knew the hits and the big tunes. And we did on Blind Rage throughout the year. I guess, yeah, it was 2015, and then we did a few shows in 2016. We did 9 of the 11 songs on that album live. Just
really?
rotating them in and out. We probably did on that tour at different points, not in one show, but at that point, we probably did 25 plus songs that rotated through the set list on that run.
Man,
which was do your homework.
Yeah. So, and in a metal band like that, I mean, you're not reading charts. There's no music. What did you do? Talk to me about how you prepared and how you made cheat sheets, whatever.
For me, it depends on the piece, but I write and transcribe by ear.
Yeah.
That's the quickest way for me. I can either sit down and do a skeleton chart, just a form sheet, or I'll dig in and transcribe note for note what the part is, which is typically what I do. Because as you go through it, and every single little bass drum hit, every snare ghost note, by the time you've done that and read through the piece 2 or 3 times, for me anyway, I start visualizing the music. I have a background in drum and bugle corps. I march snare drum. So that helped immensely, being able to memorize on the fly and standing there in a parking lot with a snare drum strapped to you and remember the changes that somebody just played for you 5 minutes ago. It's like, okay, what is that figure? What does that look like on got it. Cool. Visual image.
Right.
But with a gig like Accept, it's, spend a couple hours on your day off, transcribe this tune that's going to come in. Or if it's, a straight ahead AC/DC type of rocker, just do a skeleton chart and make any little transcriptions on specifics that I need, pushes or stops, or there's a double bass section, but it's for 6 bars, not for 4, not for 8. It's 6, and then the pattern changes to
Yeah.
So it really just depends on what the piece of music is, how I prepare for it.
Right on.
But do your homework, kids. I was vehemently against, I don't need to read music. I'm going to play live, and you don't need to read music in the studio, and you just listen to the song. No.
Yeah.
I had the craziest experience so far was I had been in Nashville just under a year, I think 10 or 11 months. And I got the call to sub a Lee Greenwood gig. And not that it's intense music,
Yeah.
but it is a multi-Grammy award-winning artist.
Right.
That's legendary. And I'm nobody, 22-year-old kid. And oh, guess what? You got to learn 22 songs in 12 hours. Go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. If I didn't know how to transcribe or read, that never would have happened.
Yep.
So for anybody, it's never too late to learn. Trust me, it's never too late to learn. Get a teacher, find an online method, reach out to any of us. I'm sure we can all guide you, and it's never
Absolutely.
too late, and it will help you immensely.
Awesome. That's great advice. It's something we talk about here all the time. That's how Deck was born.
Okay.
During COVID, we were like, how can we help other drummers? How can we help drum teachers? And Rick's not here today. He's one of the founding members with us. And we all kind of preach, know how to read, know your rudiments, know all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's vitally important. So that being said, what you just said, do you teach? Do you give lessons actively there in the Nashville area?
Not often. Sometimes I will. It's usually the double bass thing.
Yeah.
Which it's good and bad. I'm kind of the metal guy, or one of the few drummers in Nashville, but everybody knows me for that. But I have a background in anything from jazz and bebop to big band and death metal.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's usually the people that, how do I get my chops up? How do I do this? It's like, well, I can give you a piece of music that you can work on for months and months and months and months, and then you'll get better. There's no shortcut to practice, but you can sit down with me for a few hours and I can teach you how to practice these things, rudiments, learn the rhythm that each hand plays, Swiss triplets, of putting a cheese on the front, learn what each rhythm does, put it on a different sound source, practice them that way. And that's when you can start getting creative to, oh, well, if I put this, flam accents, and you put them together, you got a rudiment. Well, put those on different sound sources on the kit, Swiss triplets. Now you got that ride thing going.
I have students who come in and with some frequency say things like, I've worked on all the rudiments, but I have no idea how to use them. And it's like, well, what, okay, you've practiced it on the pad or on the snare, but what else have you done with it? Well, nothing. I just did the rudiment on the snare. It's like, okay, well,
you got the intro down, but
exactly.
Now it's time to paint. You've got a palette of colors.
Yeah.
Now let's start painting, and also not get fired for throwing a bunch of paint randomly on the canvas.
Right.
We all do that. Look, I learned a new lick. Check this out.
That's the quickest way to go.
Yeah, exactly.
So that being
a toddler that learning to walk and it just takes off and face.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Hey, you're gonna have a little bit of that going on shortly.
Yep.
Make sure to get those safety bumpers around your table corner and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Mike Berg. I'll have Mike make me something.
Have Mike Berg make you something?
Yeah.
That's not a bad, that wouldn't be a bad side hustle for him,
Well, so Mike, not many people know this. Mike, have you, next time you look at a like a buckle on your snare drum case or on a backpack or whatever, if the buckle has that double rail in the middle, like the split rail channel, Mike Berg designed that.
Oh, really?
That was his college engineering project. And what that channel does is if one half of that buckle snaps, it still stays locked until you can get a replacement for it. because that center groove, there's a male and a female section in there. That center groove keeps it locked. Well, you know how many safety companies picked that up?
Wow.
Life jackets, military equipment, EMT tech stuff, hospitals, baby stuff. Mike Berg designed that.
No kidding.
So thank you,
Wow.
Mike Berg.
No way. I did not know that. I knew that he designed all
Yeah.
that, but I didn't know he did that.
He did that. He's the first one to do all the crazy multicolor cases.
Yeah.
The companies that manufacture those machines will come to him and ask how he does that, and he won't tell them because he had to go in and modify things, and because he's a brilliant engineer. Brilliant.
Are you a Humesenberg artist?
I am, yes.
Nice.
Very,
So
very happily. Okay,
Me too.
yeah. You've got the bright green cases.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, those are gorgeous.
They are. They are.
Like
Thank
an
you.
electric green or something.
I love them. I love them. Hey, Christopher, I don't know if we talked about this or not because I had to leave, and I apologize for that. But what I wanted to know was a generic question that I ask almost all of our guests. What started your drumming journey? What was that point in time where you knew you wanted to be a drummer, and how did that go?
That was never a question. It's crazy, but a lot of us have the pots and pans story, you know, but my mom and dad would be listening to music in the house or at concerts even while I was in the womb, and I would be kicking along with the music, and when the song stopped, I stopped kicking. She said it was the weirdest thing, and they used to dance around the house all the time. I remember seeing that. And for me, it was just as soon as I came out, I had to. She knew I was a drummer before I was even born. It's the weirdest thing.
So you were playing double bass then in the womb, it sounds like.
Yeah. And Radamakuse at the same time in 19. Take that, Vinny.
Yeah. Wait, honey, come feel this. I think he's playing in 7.
Yeah.
You played Fast as a Shark before you had heard Fast as a Shark.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
You said the 7 thing, and I just had a flashback. My wife and I were at a Mexican restaurant a couple years ago, and I've been cleaning out my computer, and I found the video that I took. The margarita machine was spinning in 7.
Nice. That's awesome.
Nerd stuff that only we would pick up on. I'm like, is that? No shit. Yeah, it is. All right.
Nice.
That's the coolest margarita machine ever.
You want to know what drives me nuts is when you pull up to a stoplight and you're going to make a left-hand turn and the song and the blinker are out of time. I have to make a decision because it like I'm ADD about it. I either have to turn the radio off or turn the blinker off, one or the other, because I can't handle that. That's a thing for me.
You just got to work on your polyrhythms part,
dude.
You need to research more Marco minimum.
I swear, I sit there and I'm like, okay, where it's just not lining up. It's no matter what I think. And I just have to turn one of them off and then the light turns green and I turn it back on.
That's funny.
I'm like that when I'm walking. Usually I'll have music on when I'm walking. And if I can't walk to it, then I got to switch a song.
That's awesome, man. Hey, I want to circle back around to something, Christopher, because you were talking about Michael Berg and you also talked about your racks. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jared Pope was your drum tech on where I met you with Adam.
Yeah, that was the last show in California.
Right. And I was talking to him when he was packing up your kit, and he told me you made that rack.
Yeah.
And you made the riser and everything?
Yeah.
How did you get into that? That was really impressive. That was a really cool, that's a hell of a drum rack. How did you get into that?
So I've always been handy, you know.
Yeah.
My dad played harmonica, but he was also a carpenter and an architect. My Uncle Lee, same thing, very hands-on, outdoorsy. I have a wood shop in half of my garage. I've got a welding rig now. And I'd wanted to learn how to weld just casually. But there were two guys in the 80s and up to probably like 93, 94 that were building very similar systems. A guy out of Florida, Tom Falicon, and then out of California, Greg Volker.
Yep.
Well, I remember seeing those racks as a kid in all these videos and going, oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever. To the point, my brother and I had a set of bunk beds, and we had a broken cymbal that my uncle Peter, his drummer, had given us. We used to hang the cymbal from the top bunk so it looked like the cage, and that was the handrail was the drum rack, and then the cymbal hung down from the top. And so I've always loved the look of those things, and I could never find any info on them or anybody to build them. In 2008, I stumbled upon there was a company out of Poway in Southern California called Level Rack, Tony Ramirez, that was building them. And I bought one of his and another system that he used to do where you can plug your existing drum rack hardware into the deck. And I'd always talked about replicating Randy Castillo's Volker rack from 88, 89. That black and white Tama kit with the octobons hanging and all that.
Yeah, I remember that kit. Yeah.
And Tony, back and forth was, oh yeah, we'll do it someday. We'll do it. Just let me know when we're ready. Fly out here for a week. We'll build your rack. Well, after I joined Accept, I got in touch with him and he goes, oh, I'm not building anymore. What?
Oh no.
Come on.
Oh man.
Let me
That's why I
commission
took the gig.
yeah, exactly. The big metal gig just for the rack.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not doing racks anymore, but good luck. And I couldn't find anybody for years. Martin Motnick, our bass player that replaced Peter Baltus in 2019, Martin introduced me to his friend Tim Tucker, who's a fabricator out of the Tennessee area. And I had a couple parts that I needed replicated for one of those level racks, and went to his shop, met him. I said, I've always wanted to learn how to weld. He says, grab that hood and put those gloves on.
Wow.
Here, just strike this and run a bead. And I go, what? He goes, yeah, that's it. He goes, there's obviously a lot more to it to learn, but that's the basics of welding. And now you don't have to go to welding school. I go,
Wow.
oh. Fast forward a year or two after that, I was ready to start doing my own custom rack. And he helped me out. I've got one that lives in Europe. He helped me out on that one. Kind of, this is how you weld around, tubing and do this angle and pull here, push there, do this, that, and the other. And then the second rack, the one that you just saw in California, that one was all me.
Dude,
I rented space in his shop. Those curves, those are all hand rolled.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you use because I'm pretty handy too. Did you use like a pipe bender on that, or what? How did you do that?
A tubing roller.
Did you really? No kidding.
A tubing roller. And after the first hour of using the wheel, and there are set screws that lock the wheel onto the arbor that actually rotate, to pull the pipe through. Yeah. They kept slipping. So we just chopped the head off of a bolt, welded it onto the arbor, and put a giant ratchet on it, and about a 5-foot stick of tube over the ratchet so I could use my entire arm to do this. That was 10 hours to get 2 10-foot sticks rolled to the proper radius to make those 4 curves on the rack. That was 10 hours of me bending and pulling. And
dude,
it sucked.
I bet. So, and those are 22s, right?
Those are 22s, yeah.
So did you have the drum there, and then you bent it and would test it and bend it some more and test it? And
exactly, because there was no gauge or anything like that. I just had to keep going and get it as tight to the radius as I wanted it.
Just shoot from the hip and see what happens, man. Just keep going. You hit it.
Well, and the cool thing was that there's a free program out there called SketchUp. It's basically free AutoCAD, if you will. There's a learning curve to it, but
yeah,
I had started using it for my woodworking business, and I modeled up that rack that you saw in 3D over the course of, it was the summer of 24.
Okay.
So we were doing, it was open air season in Europe. So we're playing, Friday, Saturday, maybe Thursday or Sunday. The rest of the week you're in a hotel or at an airport. So I'm just on my laptop designing this thing. And when we got back from tour, I had all my dimensions in the computer. So I could just pull that, and I knew what to cut here and there. And, there was still a little bit of trial and error and tinkering, but I had everything I needed right there that I had studied for years. A friend of mine had my buddy Dave has an old Volker rack. So he took some of the measurements for me that then I could take and go, okay, well, then I need to expand that to this for my setup and for my size and okay. And that'll be this. Try it out in the program. It worked. Okay, cool. So then I got back from the summer tour. We were home, I think 17 days. It was like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And 13 days I was in the shop building that thing.
Really?
And then we took it on tour.
Now he didn't have it. I mean, it was still all put together when I was standing there talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Does it roll into a trailer, or does it come apart every night? Because that was quite the setup. So how does that work?
So the one in Europe, we have a big truck that hauls the set around. So we take the cymbal rack down, and then the whole lower half is just two separate, because it splits down the middle between the bass drums.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so the drum set, like bass drum 1, bass drum 2, splits in half this way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So the one in Europe, the lower halves, stay built, and then they just throw it up on top of a house deck or our rig, whatever, because I think it's like 5 feet tall or something.
Okay.
The one here, it can stay together, but it's also built to where it can break down into a road case. So what you just saw, because we have that wall of dummy cabinets,
yeah,
they're fake.
I know.
Well, two of them are live. 2 of them are live, but I bet you couldn't guess we didn't need 30-something Marshalls on stage.
Everybody needs 30 Marshalls. Come on.
AC/DCs are live, but they have a tech to look after all that too, that just does amps. But so with our rig, this last tour in the States, the whole thing comes down into a big road case, and then the deck just gets rolled into and strapped onto the wall, because half of the trailer is those cabinets.
Wow.
Plus you've got production, lights, guitars, all that. So that's why I designed it that way. It's strong enough where it can stay assembled and just roll into the truck, or I can break it down and throw it into a road case.
Christopher, I assume you have a drum tech that works on tour with you guys.
Yeah.
Had you worked with a tech before you got into the band?
A couple times, yeah. It was never a consistent deal. But when I started, like what helped me a lot with doing these racks is for years and years early on in touring, I teched for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I could take out a big double bass kit on a rack, but I modified, like the Pearl rack I took on the rack clamps, and I had a Gibraltar rack too. Those big T handles that lock the clamp onto the rail.
Yeah.
Throw an extra flat washer on there, a split washer, and a lock nut. And clamp that thing down, and now locals can't dismantle your rack accidentally. The only part of the clamp that ever comes open is the part that's supposed to come open.
Nice.
Cymbal tilters. If I know I'm never gonna need to move that, I take the wing bolt off and replace it with a nut. It cleans up the look, and it's less chance for error. And a guy that I've studied his work for years is John Douglas.
Yeah.
So he was a drummer for a band called Kick Tracy. He had a Volker back in the day, but he's more known for his artwork, collaborating with Alex Van Halen, Frank Beard, Alex Gonzalez from Maná.
Yeah.
He's painted all those Guns N' Roses, you name it. He's worked with any band, either building their kits, painting their cabinets, their guitars, painting the kits, drum heads, whatever. And now he's the drummer with Aerosmith. So, but
Wow.
That's so cool.
But
what I love about this, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What I love about this conversation, to any drum geek that's watching this, I've often said, especially at a rock gig or a metal gig, when you go to a concert, the drum set is like a hood ornament on an old 50s Chevy, 57 Chevy, an old sexy hot rod. It's the hood ornament. It's the centerpiece, you know? And so the fact that you build this stuff, to me, again, I'm you know, in the minority here, but I love it. I'm enthralled by every word. I apologize. Keep going.
Well,
I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Well, no. It was always the thing of being driven and being interested in tinkering and how does this work? How can I improve upon it? Does it need to be improved upon? If it's fine, let's not over engineer the thing. You know, and little things like looking at the kits, some of the kits John has done for Alex Van Halen. You know, Alex has the DW cymbal arms with the big ratchet handle.
Yeah.
Well, once the cymbal's locked in place with that tech lock bolt, he takes the handle out and puts an oversized set screw in there.
Oh, really?
So now you need an Allen key to adjust the tilter, but it's also tight and locked in place and it's not going to move, and it cleans up the look. And again, it's less error for something to get knocked around in a case if it doesn't need to be collapsed every night.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing for me that has always been really intriguing about drums, aside from being a player, is how can I make this look great, but function and make my life easy having to transport it? Anytime I build a kit, I ensure that I have the tech, you know, I say, look, I can label it my way, or we can do it yours, but I need to know your system in the event that somebody misses a flight and I got to put the drums up. It's happened in South America. I had to build the kit. That's fine. I got no problem doing it, but I need to know where everything is and how it's going together. And the way I do everything is, you know, the floor tom legs are A, B, C, D, E, F, you know,
Right.
The rack clamps go clockwise, 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4. Make it as simple and idiot proof as you can.
Yeah.
And take away the unnecessary bits. If you're not going to have to adjust that, don't leave room for error.
Lock it down.
Exactly. So it's thinking in terms of the musician that has to be comfortable and completely on that, but also secure in knowing that nothing's going to move. It's going to be consistent night to night, and that it's going to be easy to set up and tear down, and it's not going to cause somebody headache every day and slow up the road crew. Because, you know, in our situation with Accept, we have a road crew, but in most camps like ours, everybody wears multiple hats. So you're not doing just the drums. When the drums are done, you're going to help in with audio, you know, because you're going to help wire the drums up or do this, or, you know, the guitar tech is hopping in with lighting. You know, everybody helps everybody else. So if my thing is taking up, you know, 4 hours to build. I can't have that because
Yeah.
I'm that guy. And also, it shouldn't take 4 hours to build that. It's a drum set. My
Yeah.
rack, as crazy as it looks, the base of the rack, all the tubes, those go up in 3 to 5 minutes.
That's cool.
And you
That's cool.
you anchor it together with a 3/4 inch wrench.
Well, how long from the cases or from the truck to the stage completely set up does it take?
I mean, if Jared or whoever it is, because Jared was just stepping in for this tour.
Jared's
but-
Tom Kiefer's drummer, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
and it was one of these. I know him, and I know we think a lot alike, and we're both meticulous about things.
Yeah.
So I asked, I said, hey, you know, if you have time off, would you be open with this? And he goes, well, not really for anybody else, but because it's you and Phil's, and yeah, sure. Why not? Let's go. It'll be fun. And it was great. You know,
Cool.
the drums were perfect every day.
That's awesome.
And that's what you need. And I never had to worry about it. And I would do the exact same thing for him. I would hop in there in a heartbeat, you know, if he needed a guy, no problem. But yeah, it's if he's just taking it out of the truck and just putting it together, because let's say it's a throw and go, you could have drums on that rack in about 10 minutes.
Wow.
So I would say
Really?
half an hour or less from trailer to the last cymbal being put up if you had to.
That's
Right
killer,
on.
man. That's amazing because seeing the kit up close while he was working on it, I remember thinking to myself, God, this must take hours. You know, but I didn't really like, I was just looking at I was seeing the forest and not all the little trees. You know, I was just like, oh my God, you know.
If he was taking his time like on a normal show day, an hour, you know, because he's opening the cases, you know, leaving lids off so the drums can acclimate. Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless
And
you.
then as he's pulling, you know, the rack and cymbal hardware out, he's giving it a quick wipe with a rag, just staying on top of it. Pull the drums out, get them up, check the tuning and the head condition, pull them off and swap them if you need. But even taking your time, you know, if there were days where I don't have anything better to do, so I'd go in and just hang out with them and we'd knock it out together, everything in about 20 to 30 minutes. It's like, cool, you want to go get a coffee? We're done.
That's awesome.
How often? I've got two questions. One is about the gear. How often do you change your heads on tour?
Not too often. With except the tom heads, I'm an Evans guy. I use G2 coateds over G1 clears, and EQ3 kicks, heavyweight on snare top, and the glass 300 on the bottom. Pure sound custom 20s or the blaster 20s typically, but they last and they don't seem to lose tone. So for me, 5-6 shows out of a set of batter heads, and that's a 2-hour show. You know, this last tour we were doing an hour, so I think we were probably getting 8 shows out of a set of heads, out of batters. I think we changed the rezos once halfway through. The kick heads never changed.
Really?
Yeah, because I use the Kevlar patches on there, those aramid fiber that they have, and I mean I kick the snot out of them.
Yeah,
but
They'll last forever though.
You know, I don't bury the beater either.
You play out,
you know, out full power, and the spring is almost maxed out, and that pedal, the beater is coming back and almost hitting the top of my foot each time. So I'm slamming those things, but the heads last, they hold up. And I've got the Evans EQ pillow. I keep looking over there because that's where my drums are right now. And I'm distracted
over by R2D2.
I was going to say, I thought it was Chewbacca coming out.
They're beautiful, but that's why I keep looking over there. I'm a geek. But I've got the Evans EQ3 pad, or the Evans EQ pillow in there, just touching the front head to muffle it a bit. Otherwise, the kicks are wide open.
My next question has nothing to do with equipment, but you had mentioned earlier that you played drumline, drum and bugle corps, and that you also played some bebop when you were younger. I wanted to hear about your formative years and what you were involved with in school and what kind of bands you were playing in before you ended up in the metal.
Yeah, so it was, I mean, it started off, in the bedroom, just listening to albums and radio and playing along to whatever and kind of wrapping your head around this whole drum set thing. And middle school was my first band. Um, I don't know if we ever played a gig, but our parents would agree to let us stay after school and we'd go to the band room and jam for a couple hours. They'd pick us up. And high school, excuse me. So I did orchestral band through middle school, and I think freshman year of high school. And that's where I started marching drumline, high school marching band. And that's what got me into drum and bugle corps when I found out about like Blue Devils and Cavaliers and Santa Clara and all that. And cadets was just like, whoa, that's what I want to do. That's marching band on steroids.
Yeah.
That's badass. So the obsession with that and the rudimental snare drumming started there, really freshman year of high school. Sophomore year, half of the day, sophomore through senior year, I would go to a school of the arts. So, and I studied theory, jazz class, the jazz guitar course. So they were playing, and it wasn't just like your high school pop band. They're playing Mingus and Thelonious Monk and you name it.
Really?
So it was like, okay, this is real jazz. Okay, Prayer for Passive Resistant, Thelonious Monk and Seven. Blah. Ga. Blah. Oh, these syncopated, because part of the guitar class curriculum was each semester, every student had to choose a tune, transcribe a lead sheet, a chart, and a melody sheet. And then you would perform it mid-year at the recital and at the end of the year as a recital. We had playing juries as well for the teachers and for our peers. Like I said, studying theory, studying jazz, studying orchestral percussion, as well as drum set. And, so I've got that going on with high school marching band and the drum and bugle corps obsession. And a friend of a friend introduces me to Slipknot. Their first, I guess, freshman year was Slipknot, but it was their first album cycle was still happening. And then it was like, oh, there's no way one guy's playing that with his feet. That's why they got 3 drummers. And he showed me a video and it's like, whoa, okay. So I remember in the same sitting, he gave me the first Slipknot album. He gave me Pantera Far Beyond Driven.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
And I in 6th grade, there was a kid on the school bus that I'm a huge Kiss fan, huge. And I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the guys over the years. And he goes, man, I know you're into Kiss and that's cool, but check this out. And he put his headphones on. It was the Pantera, the official live 101 proof.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this? He put it on a cassette tape and we moved during that school year. So I thought I lost the cassette. So this guy, fast forward, introduces me to Pantera. And I go, man, I know this song, Becoming. Oh, I've heard this band. This band rules. And I start digging through boxes and I found that cassette tape. And so it was Slipknot, Pantera, and Fear Factory's Digimortal album, all 3 at the same time. Really? And I had already burned through the Metallica catalog in middle school, like 7th and 8th grade, and now it's like, what is this? Okay, yes, this is happening. Then I put on a 3-piece and go out and play a corporate gig at a bank with some of the kids from the art school and playing jazz. But I've got a drum set that I wrapped in crushed velvet zebra fur because I wanted to be like Peter Criss with his zebra drum set from Psycho Circus, and it's just like,
That's so cool.
None of this goes together, but somehow it works. And my percussion instructor, Dr. Gary Robinson, he saw my right hand playing ride cymbal, and he goes, "You play your ride with what we call French grip." And I go, "Okay." He goes, "I need a timpanist in the youth orchestra."
Oh,
I go, "No, I don't know." He goes, "Well, for every semester you do it, you get an extra business course, credit, whatever, so you can drop classes at the high school. Let's work on that left hand." And my ear's pretty good, I would say, as far as pitch. So that, tuning off of a fork and singing the interval, which learning that from doing theory, and voice training through music theory, because I sing too.
yeah.
All of that somehow meshed together, and it was at the perfect time because I had nothing going on. I was a kid in school, and I would play drums 7 hours a day. Between being on the pad when I was riding the school bus before I started driving, pad on the bus, race to class, get on the pad, class changes, run to the next one, pad, go to the fine arts center, drum, theory, jazz class, go back to Wade Hampton, pad, or go kill time in the marching room on my snare drum. Just that's all it was music 24/7. And hey man, you want to be in a metal band? Cool. Hey man, you got a pretty solid backbeat and groove. You want to join this funk group we got? Hell yeah. You got a horn section too? All right. Yeah. So those were my first touring gigs, actually, was a death metal band and a 7-piece funk group with a horn section.
Nice.
And that band was opening for P-Funk and Fishbone and all that, doing all these head festivals. Yo Mama's Big Fat Booty Band out of Asheville, North Carolina.
No way. That was the name of the group? That's awesome, dude. That's fantastic.
Booty Band for short. But that was the trippiest thing. And that opened my eyes to, I don't have to just be the metal guy. The metal gig's cool, but the funk group's paying my bills, and I'm having just as much fun playing that music.
Yeah.
Because it's rhythmic and it's high energy and it's groove, and okay, cool. So there are other options. Killer,
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you also play or have played in a Kiss tribute band, right?
Yeah. It wasn't a consistent thing, but it was a charity gig. Phil Schaus was in it, Jeremy Asbrock, and our friend E.T. Brown. We would do a Kiss gig every December as a food and toy drive for the local homeless mission here in Nashville. But we did a full production. I built a 6-foot Kiss sign. I built the smoking guitar. I bought, Gary Forkham was selling a bunch of his personal drums from Fork's Drum Closet.
Yeah.
And I managed to build an exact replica of Peter Criss's Destroyer fiberglass Pearl kit.
That's what I was just going to ask. The fiberglass ones?
Really? 15, the white one, the concert tom.
Yeah.
I've got that, and I use those toms for overdubs all the time. That's your Hal Blaine Blameyer sound. It's great because that's what Hal Blaine used was fiberglass concert toms. Those Blameyers.
Yeah.
But so we were doing that, and then the following year I was on tour. We had a couple days off in Vegas, and so I went. Kiss has a mini golf location in Vegas, and there was a set of Peter Criss's drums. It was the B rig from the 96, 97, the first tour where they put the makeup back on.
Yeah.
And got together. They had auctioned that off in, I think, 2002. And the woman that won,
striped one, the
it's silver and chrome vertical stripes.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a Pearl Masters 6-ply maple, and it's square drums, 7x8, 8 square, 9, 10, 10 square, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 square, 24 kick, 18 by 24, and then a 6.5 14 snare. And I was able to buy them.
No way.
The woman that won the auction was selling them to help with some family stuff, some bills that were going on, medical stuff. And I was like, look, I can't pay for this all at once, but I'll give you all my info and address and social and all that. And let's write up a contract, and I'll make payments if you're willing to do that. And she was cool with it. And I did.
That's awesome.
Right
And
on.
I've got the kit that Peter was playing the first time that, I remember seeing Kiss and Makeup and all that on the MTV Awards.
Very cool.
Nice.
That is so cool to own
got
a
that.
piece of history like that, dude. That's really cool.
It's gnarly. So then, of course, that becomes, the last few times that we did the Kiss tribute, that was the kit.
Now hold on. You
So-
said it's a DW though, right?
No.
It-
So the reunion 96, 97 was Pearl.
He was a
He was a DW artist since the late 80s.
right.
But Gene insisted that they all play the same stuff they did 77 to try and replicate.
Yeah.
So they didn't do an exact copy of the Love Gun kit, but that's why it's the black and chrome stripe. Henry Winkler, who used to build all of the artist kits for Pearl back in the 70s and built Peter's Pearl kits, built 2 twin kits for that 96, 97 tour.
No kidding.
So one of them lives in Turlock, California. There's some music museum out there. So that kit's out there with some of Ace's stuff. And then I've got the other kit.
Dude, that's
Nice.
really cool. That's bitching, man. That's really cool.
It's pretty rad.
Yeah,
And they sound great.
I bet they do.
They sound
amazing.
huge.
I bet they
They're
do.
killer.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, so we're kind of wrapping up here. I guess I do have one closing question. After playing, with Accept and playing at that level and doing everything that you do, what's something that you appreciate now more about drumming that you didn't when you were younger? After having all of this experience, what's something that you appreciate more now?
I think just a quick answer probably, because that's a really good question. And I'm sure I could think if we had more time and get really in depth on it. But I think probably just enjoying playing, not chasing a gig, not chasing a career, still enjoying the drums for the drums.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, we all get burned out. Anybody that does this for a living, and we've all toured, we've all done, you get tired of playing. And there's times you come home and you just, I didn't touch my drum set for 3 months after this last tour, because the last 2 years had been so intense touring wise. And I looked at the kit one day and I said, man, I'm going to set this up the way that I want to nerd out. It's a hybrid of Virgil Donati's kit and Vinny's kit. So it's 3 racks, 2 floor toms on the right. There's a floor on the left, side snare up here like Virgil used to do.
Yeah.
Cable hat in the back, operated with the right foot, closed hat, main hat, double pedal. And I'm excited to play drums again, just to play drums. Not because I've got to go to work, not for business, not because it's time to make an album or record a track for a client. I love all of that. It's great. But there can be a line that gets blurred between enjoyment and business. And try and find that place where they're still separate. You can find your joy in your business.
Mm-hmm.
The fabrication and woodworking for me is just as much fun as playing drums, because they can either directly relate to drums, whether I'm doing bearing edges or making a stave shell, welding a rack, or I could build a table. I could weld up, some crazy art project, whatever. I can close the door on drums and let it breathe, but also not resent it because it's business and you're burned out. You know, it's
great answer.
Find that happy spot. And it's not just drums, it's in anything you do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's life. You get tired, you get burned out, and you just want to press that reset button. So find that happy spot, you know, do your gig, do your job, and then sit down and reconnect with your instrument and do something completely different that doesn't fit anywhere into the main business world. Whatever your gig is, find something else and explore that.
I love that.
Great answer.
Set your drums up left-handed for a week. I
Mm.
did that when I was a teenager just because.
Mhm.
See what happens. You
Yeah.
know, never lose that joy because it's pretty damn cool what we get to do, man. Whether
Right on.
it's your full-time job or just a hobby, it's pretty awesome getting to play these things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's that vibration that connects with the human soul.
Right.
You get your frustration out, you know, or you can just barely tap it and play it and be extra sensitive and use dynamics. And it's an incredible instrument when you really, really dig into it and put yourself into it. So never lose that.
Awesome.
Good answer.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome
Thanks
answer.
for having me, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, our pleasure. Good
Thank
luck to you.
Excellent.
And
Yeah,
good luck.
Christopher.
Good luck becoming a dad. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations on that, man. That is so
Thank you.
cool. All
I'm
right.
stoked.
We are
Play us
at the
out,
end of
Chip.
the show. Chip, play some drums, baby.